good. We're ready.
Good morning and welcome to NRG Park. My name is Ryan Walsh. I'm the Executive Director of the Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation in NRG Park. We appreciate you all being here this morning. First, I'd like to thank our board, Chairman Colon, Bishop Dixon, Carol Stith, John Montalbano, and John Hernandez. I'd also like to thank our partners, the Houston Texans and the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, for their participation. And of course, our law enforcement and government partners you see standing behind me. It's an exciting morning for everyone in the sports and entertainment industry because of the innovative initiative being announced here today, the No Trafficking Zone Game Over initiative. As you may remember, NRG Park, already an industry leader, was the first sports and entertainment complex in the country to be designated a no trafficking zone. NRG Park is the most highly attended and busiest complex in the country, with more than 6 million visitors through our gates every year. NRG Park is the perfect place to introduce this pilot program designed to stem the tide of human trafficking in all forms. Major events all over the world are known hotspots for human trafficking, and our goal here today is to prevent that in any way we can. The Game Over initiative is a profound step as we work towards that goal. And if one person finds refuge or can break the chains of human trafficking because of the efforts here at NRG Park, I consider that a success. But we hope for more and know that the No Trafficking Zone Game Over initiative is going to resonate loudly, as loud as the fans cheering in the stadium behind me. We hope that all of our partners across the country in sports and entertainment complexes and stadiums will adopt this model for their own, and this will be a considerable, tangible progress in this fight. To tell you more about this initiative, I'd like to welcome Bishop James Dixon, an NRG Park board member, co-founder of the No Trafficking Zone, and among his many accolades, to the podium to tell you more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan Walsh, and we appreciate your leadership. This would not be possible without you, and thank you. You are an extraordinary executive director and CEO of a facility and entity like we have here at NRG Park, and we are blessed and fortunate to have you. Plus, we're in the same club, and so for all those reasons, we thank you. And we also congratulate Ryan because he's got twins coming this weekend. And would y'all give him a hand, because he's out here smiling and focused on this, but I promise you his mind is elsewhere. But so thank you for your leadership, and to the staff, Nina and Veronica, and all the other staff here at NRG Park with the Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation, we thank you. And certainly to our fellow board members, you'll hear from Carol Stith shortly. Our chairman could not be here today because he's teaching the class at U of H downtown, but sends his blessings as well, and we're grateful to God for that. I am honored to be here as a board member, co-founder of NTZ, and in just a moment, I'm going to present the founder and president, CEO of NTZ, a young lady who has brought amazing energy to our city, state, and region as it relates to combating trafficking, and most of you know who she is already. Jacqueline Aludo. We're going to bring her in just a moment, but I'm so honored to be here with Bonnie Helms, our judge, and who's also a board member, and others who are part of this team. I got to be honest with you, when Commissioner Ellis had the grace to appoint me to the board here at Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation, I said, good, I love sports, and you know, we're going to have some board meetings and have budget meetings, and then I'm going to go to the games. You know, this is a wonderful thing. And then Jacqueline and I were talking, and she said, did you know that sports and entertainment venues are hotspots for trafficking? It just shocked me to hear. And I said, trafficking during sports and entertainment events? And she said yes, and sent me some information. I started reading, and I never would have thought it. Years ago, I was the chaplain for the Oilers. So I spent a lot of days here at the other building, we call the Dome, and watching games and enjoying sports and entertainment events here in this facility. Been coming here since I was a kid. I was an Astros buddy. I was with Jim Wynn and Bob Watson. All of that history in sports. Having no idea that at the same time we're enjoying touchdowns and home runs, there's some other things were happening more nefarious. And to learn that, it took somebody as educated as Jacqueline is, who keeps up with trafficking trends, to give me that exposure. I'm honored that when we brought that information to our board here at NRG, without a hesitation, the staff and the board began to say, what can we do? And so we proposed that NRG could be the first no trafficking zone venue in the world. And of course, we're known in Houston for doing things first. And so I'm honored that in 2019 that happened. But it would not have happened without the driving forces of people like Jacqueline and other advocates who are working every day to understand what's happening in our communities. And unfortunately, we know that Houston has the reputation we're trying to get rid of being the leading city in the nation as it relates to trafficking. Thanks to our mayor and Meadall Davis, from whom you'll hear in a minute. We're all fighting this, and more people are joining this army. So I just want to thank you for coming. I won't introduce everybody now. I know Jacqueline will thank them. We got several speakers who will be speaking, but I just want to say that this is innovative, it's positive, it's progressive, but the most positive thing about it to me is that it's drawing people from different political spectrums, different faith spectrums, different ethnicities and cultures, all coming together behind a cause. And I know that our collective potency makes us capable of doing anything. And we've got to believe, I'm a man of faith, and I do believe that we can create no trafficking zones in stadiums, in schools, in households, in neighborhoods. Wherever trafficking has happened, we got to try to make it stop. So thank you for coming today. Others will be recognized as they come up to speak. If I start calling names now, it would be to 11 o'clock. But I do want to give a special thanks, I'll Jacqueline do it as well, to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez and to Chief Troy Finner, who readily said that they would help us by making sure that our trafficking detectives, and Jacqueline will tell you about that, who are on these grounds get paid, and that they're under the auspices of our Sheriff's Department and HPD. Let's give both of those departments a big hand, because without them it would be impossible. And we'll recognize others as we move swiftly through this program. And but at this moment, let me, with pride, introduce Jacqueline Aludo. She is, I called her a beast and among the best, because she's 27 hours a day doing whatever she can to understand this and help others to get engaged. And if you're not engaged in fighting trafficking, Jacqueline thinks you are absolutely unsaved, not spiritual, you don't know God. And so I want to introduce her at this time. Would y'all receive and celebrate her as she comes to lead us further in this vision?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and being here. I'm going to try to keep this brief, but I have a lot of people to thank. I want to thank first NRG Park for doing something like this that is so innovative. Often when we think of leaders that are going to bring social justice, we don't think of a football stadium. We do not think of a sports stadium and the team around it to really combat social justices. So I really want to thank Ryan Walsh just for taking such a lead on this and being someone so gracious with calls. Veronica and Nina, I know that I have told them so many times in emails just different specifics about human trafficking, and they probably thought, you know, we work for a football stadium. So I really want to thank you all for just being as passionate about sex trafficking and the slave trade as we are. I want to thank the NTZ board, because without them this could never happen. This was really something that God brought beautiful people together from different cultures, different faiths, different beliefs, and we wanted to make a difference in combating human trafficking, but in very innovative and impactful ways, and understanding that we have to unite people. So I want to really thank Judge Bonnie Helms, Carol Stith, Kelly Barron, and last but never least, Bishop James Dixon. I met Bishop 5 years ago, and this poor man, ever since I met him and he told me he was passionate about trafficking, I have probably called him every day, at least 5 times a day, telling him about all the different trafficking issues happening in our nation and in Texas. And by the grace of God, he has been right there, fighting right next to me to really end the slave trade. I want to thank all of the commissioners for really standing behind this. Commissioner Ellis with just the resolution and really always supporting NTZ from the beginning. I can't tell you how much that means to me and how much that means to so many human trafficking survivors, victims, and advocates. Commissioner Cagle, for always being amazing and wanting to do so much with victim services. And just wanting to make a difference. Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner Ramsey, they approved our resolution 2 weeks ago. And what was so beautiful about that is, in this day and age, we are so polarized by politics. And to see them all come together with Judge Hidalgo and be happy and excited about this was something that was really inspiring. And inspiring does create change. We need to be inspired to make a difference. We need to understand that, like, we need to be able to dream. We need to be able to understand each other and to know that we all have differences. We all have different lived experiences, and that's where our perspective comes from. We live in a world now where hate is really the driving factor, where politics are ripping each other apart and leaders are not leading in the way they should be. We're more worried about liability versus accountability. And we need leaders that are going to be worried about accountability to protect our communities and all of our communities and fight for them. I want to thank JP Morgan Chase for really getting behind this and supporting this with the no trafficking zone model. It is a very different model. We wanted to train 5,000 NRG Park employees. We wanted to make sure that they could spot trafficking scenarios, and there was a whole model to call the human trafficking detectives that are accompanied with advocates. For those of you that don't know or understand human trafficking, advocates are equally as important as law enforcement, because as law enforcement is apprehended a criminal or making sure that a scene is secure, it is the advocate's job and duty to make sure that victims' rights are being met at all times, no matter who that their predator is. And so I'm really so proud of this model. I'm proud of HETRA, the Human Trafficking Rescue Alliance of the Southern District, being their community awareness coordinator and bringing all communities together. I'm proud of YMCA and Unbound, our advocacy agency partners. I couldn't think of better advocates to lead with. And I'm really proud of our survivors. So all the survivor leaders that work with NTZ, and some are here, Rich Love, Courtney Litvak, Cynthia Rivera, there's a list that goes on and on. There's so many who I learn from you every day just to be a better person. I learn from you all every day, whether you were trafficked by your family or in the foster care system or in the juvenile justice system, or you met a boy that you fell in love with and you thought that he was going to love you, or a school teacher on a campus ground, because yes, that happens. 55% of children who are trafficked and groomed were groomed during school hours, and by the grace of God, No Trafficking Zone did pass a law also to protect those schools. But getting back to the point of survivors, if you ever have the honor and privilege of working with survivors, you are going to realize that what it really means to turn pain into purpose, that people who have been through so much have still so much of a fight in them and care so much about making the world a better place. And I'm hoping that the No Trafficking Zone is going to unite all of us, law enforcement, advocates, judges, survivors, pastors, churches, to come together and really make a difference. And for all the survivors that are still stuck in the life, we are going to find you. We are going to come for you. And for all the predators out there, whether you're powerful or not, we want to hold you accountable, and we want to make sure that there is no human trafficking in the nation, in this nation or the state of Texas. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You want to put that? Next, we're gonna have our board member Carol Stiff to come, who himself is a former NFL football player, working on this side of the field now. Carol Stiff, board member, and both here at NRG as well as with NTZ. Receive him, please. Yes.
Thank you. I was just listening to Jacqueline and thinking of the scourge that is across the nation and in this city, and how it affects our children, and in our case, our grandchildren and our great-grandchild, and anything that we can do to stop them from going through that trauma and pain is a win. And that's what I want to see, is this organization being a win against human trafficking. And it is a scourge, but we all have to do our part to combat it. So that's the primary reason that all of us are involved in this. I think you have to have a heart for it, because sometimes the underbelly of all this is dark and not very nice to look at or face, or why we let it get to where it is. So I'm just glad to be part of this. These are great people. I want to thank Ryan for leading the board in this, and of course the bishop doing his part. When he gets on board, you get in line and march right with him. So we're pleased to do that. And thank you all for being here today.
Okay, I've been given this assignment by the president. I'm honored to introduce Commissioner Rodney Ellis and Commissioner Jack Cagle. Jacqueline mentioned the other week what happened at the Commissioner's Court. The Commissioner Ellis had a resolution there and was donating some funds to help NTZ, and all of his colleagues chimed in and said, we're going to match it. So you know that's the grace of God. And anytime you can raise an offering in the pandemic and you're a pastor, you know God is good. But thank you, Commissioner Ellis, and thank you, Commissioner Cagle. They'll come in that order. Thank you so much.
Come on up here, colleague. Bishop, thank you so much. And Jacqueline, thank you for the great work that you do. You know, we pass a lot of resolutions at Commissioner's Court in politics. And sometimes I think we ought to look for resolutions with a purpose. And Jacqueline and Bishop, that's what we did. We passed a resolution with a purpose. And as the Bishop mentioned, we put some money with it. Because most problems that come across our desk, with all due respect, a resolution won't solve them. But some money does help. Bishop, probably the smartest thing I did, Carol, was to put him on this board. I know you all wondered, what was I up to? We were trying to put him on the Harris Health Board, and that didn't work out. I decided to put him on this board. You knew you were getting a man of faith, but I don't think you knew you were going to get a man with this much action. So, Cactus, I didn't dress up today. I'll tell you this quick story. I was telling Ryan yesterday at my office, they were briefing me. I went to some press conference at his church one day. I didn't know what it was about, but he just said, you have to come. And so I went. I had my best suit on, my finest suit. And Congresswoman Jackson Lee was there with a pillow, and I think this is going to be a long press conference. She got a pillow in here, and then they said something about, well, you all are going to have to lay out in the street. So then I said, Bishop, this is my good suit. I won't be laying in the street. So, Carol, you get ready to put attention on this issue. Next thing this activist will do will have you all laying in the streets with the press there. Look, according to the study done by the University of Texas, over 313,000 victims of human trafficking in Texas. This breaks down to 79,000 minors and youth who are victims of sex trafficking, and nearly 234,000 adults who are victims of labor trafficking, all of whom are experiencing conditions of extreme coercion. I think it's important to reiterate again what Game Over will do. Where will this money go that the sheriff and the DAs have put in? Good to see you here, Brian, as well, and the sheriff. It will go to an initiative where there will be special training and close coordination between law enforcement officials as well as trauma-trained victim advocates to surveil every Texan's home game to stop human trafficking in its tracks. So I'm so proud of Ryan and the board and law enforcement for stepping up first. The prosecutors and the sheriff put some money in first, and then the Commissioner's Court, I put in some, and Cactus, I'm so glad that all of us on Commissioner's Court chimed in, and I give greetings from Judge Hidalgo as well, and now present my colleague, Cactus Jack Cagle.
It is a privilege and an honor to be here And it is also an honor to be in unity with my colleague this morning. Today at about 4 o'clock, there won't be so much harmony and unity going on. But right now, we are here to say no traffic zones. Game over. No. The devil, evil, seeks whom he may desire. But if you stand up and say no, then you can make that beast that decides to prey upon others to flee. And we are here where we commit ourselves across borders, across lines, across sports, across, you name whatever it is, evil is wrong, and we are here to say no to it and to stop that predator-prey relationship, to speak for those who cannot speak, to fight for those who cannot fight, to stand up for those who are attempting to flee the evil, and we will face it and we will conquer it. And so I'm proud to stand here with you today saying no trafficking zone here in our city.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you both commissioners. Let's give them a hand again because that's powerful support. Today we're very fortunate to have the chairman of TABC, and we're honored to have him with us today supporting this cause. TACB works with HETRA, but they also have input in helping to develop our training curriculum. And we're TABC, we're so thankful and grateful to God for them and for their support. Receive with me Mr. Kevin Lilly at this time.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. This morning when I left my house, my son asked why I was wearing this tie, and well, it's pretty obvious that we're supporting of our sports teams here in Houston, and so the question is, well, what does that have to do with this, aside from it being a campus? I think that the two things that unite all of us across all party lines and across all beliefs are tragedy and celebration. We've been united in a tragedy of a pandemic, but we're also united in celebrations that we share in our community. Well, this is a unification of a tragedy that we are all meeting here to try to extinguish and to halt this abomination of humanity, this medieval, disgusting, horrible crime that is going on under our noses, and yet so many people in our community don't even know about it. Well, TABC, as you probably know, amongst the 4 primary venues for human trafficking, 3 of them fall within our jurisdiction: bars, restaurants, as well as hotels, including licensed establishments such as, unfortunately, as sports venues. And so in the last legislative session, the legislature tasked TABC's primary law enforcement mission to be the eradication of human trafficking in licensed establishments, which is an extraordinary responsibility. And as such, and I'm proud to thank the legislature, we now have the largest undercover human trafficking task force of any law enforcement agency in Texas. These are men and women who are deep undercover to fight the cartels and the organized criminals that use bars and restaurants as storefronts for their nefarious activities in human trafficking. And so we have developed, as the bishop mentioned, now the largest undercover human trafficking school in Texas and soon to be in the United States. Already we've had 12,000 law enforcement officers this year alone go through our online class, and we also have a robust actual class at Texas A&M. So the last thing I want to say is that all of this is not enough. Our presence here alone is not enough. We have to have outrage from the community. We have to have the average men and women in this city who say, well, it's not really my neighborhood. Well, that's wrong. Yeah. It's in every neighborhood. Yep. It's from Katy to Deer Park, from the Woodlands to River Oaks to Pearland to Galveston. It's in every school and every community. It does not care about race or gender. It is a problem that affects every human being that lives in our community, and therefore, when we all gather to increase this outrage, that's when change happens. I'm so thankful, Bishop, Sheriff, you've been a diehard supporter of TABC. We thank you, sir, and all the NGOs that are here Let's continue to be advocates. Let's continue to be social warriors. And let's push the outrage for change. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And we're excited for all the initiatives TABC is doing. There's one group that we did forget to thank before we call up our incredible sheriff, the governor's child sex trafficking team. We want to thank them for putting in a continuum of care and really having us all work together with the city. So I just wanted to make sure that we mention them. Sheriff Gonzalez, I just want to thank you, and I want to acknowledge that your officers are here that work with me every game, and they are amazing. I'm learning so much more about law enforcement, and they're learning so much more about advocacy, and they really care. And these are people that are working so hard around the clock. So I just want to thank you for being a great law enforcement leader, where your officers are so respectful and kind and passionate about combating human trafficking. Please come up.
And as the sheriff comes, following the sheriff is going to be Chief Finnis representative. He got called to a hearing this morning and could not get here, unfortunately, but he did send very capable representation in Assistant Chief Garcia. Thank you so very much. And after Sheriff Gonzalez, we'll have then the chief, and then we'll talk about the congresspersons who are supporting as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It really is an honor to be with you to help share awareness about such an important issue. As the chairman stated, and he's absolutely correct, too often people misunderstand and will say, Sheriff, this can't possibly be happening in my neighborhood, in my county, in my state, or in my country. We see it as something happening far, far away, and it is a global industry. It's said and estimated that human trafficking is a $150 billion industry globally. And I think that this is important for so many reasons, and that's why I'm so happy for us to be involved. Jacqueline, I want to commend you for your forward-thinking, innovative response to this, because I think it's so much needed. It's not only a one-prong approach that we need a multidisciplinary attack for this, and that's what you're doing here, really leading a trauma-informed system of response that does include law enforcement. We do need the enforcement piece, but we also need to understand that we need to be there to support the survivors, to make sure that we're connecting them to the resources, to the medical care and assistance that they need. And this initiative provides for that in real time. We work collaboratively as a team. And so I want to commend her and Bishop Dixon for really leading this effort. And the reason this is really a transformational moment, and I do emphasize transformational, because in my opinion, look, it's been well written and researched that sports venue and entertainment venues are magnets for human trafficking, not only here but globally. And that's why for us to be able to step in, and for this complex to say, we're in, we want to be a part of the solution, how can we help? It sends a message to the rest of the world, every complex out there that says, you know what, if Houston Harris County can do it, if NRG complex can do it, then so can we. Yes. And I hope, yes, and I hope that this is duplicated in stadiums all over the world, and they see the successes that come from here. You know, and we hope that no cases develop here, because if they don't, then that means we're doing our work. But if not, we're sending the message that it's not going to be tolerated, and that we do work in collaboration. Now, the reason that they become magnets is because they draw large crowds. They draw large crowds. They draw alcohol consumption. You know, sports venues do. And you draw travelers from all over the world, especially when there's signature events such as championship events and Super Bowl events and major conferences. They attract travelers from all over. They're away from their spouses, away from loved ones. Bad things can happen. It's a bad mix. And when all that happens, and there's an entire underground that facilitates that desire for more sex and more victims, and then we have to make sure that we're combating that relentlessly. Believe it or not, there's individuals that are moved from city to city based on when those sporting events are going to be taking place. We know when we hosted the Super Bowl here, we worked with local law enforcement together collaboratively, Chairman, to make sure that we were doing initiatives leading up to it, because we know that they were going to be coming into our city. Being able to have eyes on the ground, not only in uniform personnel, but undercover, being able to infiltrate what's happening is really a game changer for us. And so for us to come together and be able to combat that and be able to attack not the only source, there's a lot, but a major source, which is those sporting events that occur. I'm telling you, for the next Super Bowl host, they're already planning these type of initiatives. So again, I just want to commend everyone, and I'd be remiss, again, they've already been mentioned, but I want to invite my teammates that are here, led by Lieutenant Suarez, and the members. Can you please raise your hand? And and other personnel are not here because they work undercover operations and other things like that, so they're not able to be here. But I really, I get to come up here and speak and kind of represent the agency, but I wanted them to be here because it's really about them. They're the ones in the front lines, as Jacqueline mentioned, and we want them to continue to be out there and have the support that they need, and I commend them for all their hard work and their passion for this issue. Briefly in Spanish, estamos esta mañana en Estamos Unidos para combatir el tráfico de seres humanos. Este es un día monumental porque se está declarando este complejo de estadios deportivos como una zona donde no se va a permitir el tráfico de seres humanos. Estamos en colaboración con nuestros compañeros, con el Houston Police Department, también nuestro equipo aquí de la oficina de alguacil, para combatir este problema que sí existe en nuestra comunidad. Este es un problema mundial. Pero estamos aquí para trabajar unidos con el liderazgo de Jacqueline Aluato, también el Bishop Dixon, los comisionadores Cagle, Ellis y todos los que están aquí, todos los líderes de TABC, todos que están aquí, los que apoyan a las víctimas, a las sobrevividoras de este crimen, para decir que no se va a permitir aquí. Vamos a hacer todo lo posible para combatir esto. Nosotros vamos a tener oficiales que van a estar trabajando iniciativas aquí en este complejo para estar observando y a ver si ven pistas de quién puede estar trayendo una persona o el trato de seres humanos. Entonces, muchas gracias por su atención. Thank you all, for everyone that's here. All of you are just phenomenal leaders, and we're so wonderful. And I want to always commend my dear friend, Minal Patel Davis. We go back to when I was on Houston City Council, and we worked together to launch the mayor's really develop the office to combat human trafficking, to work closely with HPD to make sure that they develop their unit and their outreach and everything they were doing. And so really has been a friend and mentor in this space for me personally, and just want to commend her for being here. And so I hope she's recognized as well. And thanks to the mayor, Judge Hidalgo as well, and everybody. And just very thankful for Commissioner's Court as well for committing some dollars as well to this initiative. It really is a collaborative effort all the way around. So thank you all very much, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of this.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. Chief Garcia.
Thank you, Bishop. I'm Ernest Garcia, Assistant Chief with the Houston Police Department, and on behalf of the Houston Police Department and on behalf of Chief Troy Finner, Chief of Police of the Houston Police Department, we welcome the opportunity to work with all our stakeholders that are here. As we know, when we've done numerous investigations of this issue, the fact that it takes all of us to combat this issue. It takes our religious leaders, it takes our government leaders, it takes our schools, as well as the police department and all our other agencies in the area to combat this problem. In the Houston Police Department, we do have a specific squads that do investigate these types of incidents. We're very proud of the fact that they've been successful and they've been able to work with our partners here that we see here today. But the Houston Police Department welcomes the opportunity to continue that partnership and establish those relationships, and those relationships that are there, have them stronger, maybe work together in other things that we can do. But again, thank you for allowing us to be here. Like the sheriff said, it's a truly honor to be with you here today, and we look forward to working with you in the future to combat this horrible issue that we have here in the city of Houston. So with that, thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. You go first, Mom.
We also want to thank and acknowledge Congressman McCall and all of his work. I saw Larissa here somewhere, but there you are. Thank you so much for all of your support with No Trafficking Zone and just everything that Congressman McCall and your office is doing to combat human trafficking. From the state of Texas to federally, we really appreciate it so much.
Thank you, and thank you also Congressman Al Green and Congresswoman Shirley Jackson. They're both in D.C. The Congressman has his representative, Ms. Crystal, who's always Johnny on the spot, and we appreciate you so very much. The Congressman wanted to be sure to have his visible support here. Congresswoman Lee sent her support as well as State Representative Sophronia Thompson and State Representative Sean Theory, all of whom sends their support and were unable to be here due to scheduling reasons. But we are thankful to God for all of them giving their support. At this time, we're going to have, we're almost done. We've got just a few more speakers very quickly. But Meenal Patel Davis is with Mayor Sylvester Turner's office. He's traveling in Denver, but certainly one of his chief person to be here, and she leads in a great way. Meenal, would you come, please? Give her a hand.
Good morning, everyone. I know the mayor would want me to keep it short because this is really Bishop Dixon and Jacqueline Oluoto's day, so I'm going to make sure I do that. And I'm not going to list off a list of things that the city's accomplished in the last 6 years, because with all that we've done, including the World Cup Human Rights Report that Jacqueline and Bishop Dixon were a part of, we failed the survivors that stand behind us today. And so this initiative is creative. It'll certainly support our World Cup bid as we move forward with that. And hopefully what we can do as we have everyone here coming together, which is something quite unimaginable 6 years ago like this. And 2015 was a very critical year, I see.
Yes.
We hopefully will not fail all of the people that are trapped in this scourge going forward. So that's really our goal. And I know I'm speaking for all of us when I say that, and certainly for Mayor Turner. Thank you.
Thank you, Meenal.
And thank you so much for everything that you do for the city of Houston to combat human trafficking.
And we want to give special thanks to the Houston Texans. You know, you can't do anything at NRG Park that's significant and not have the support of the Texans. And we want to thank Ms. Thomas for being here today with us. The president, CEO, Mr. Grissom, was not able to be here due to another engagement, but sent his best representative to be here. And we've been told that for sure. But thank you so very much for the Texas partnership as well as the rodeo. We thank you so very much. Carrie.
Our next group that we want to call up is two amazing advocacy agencies. They'll probably talk separately, but if they could both come close since it's so hot outside. Carrie Taylor from Unbound and Jamie Keller from YMCA. Both these advocacy agencies are really changing the way and really making a difference.
Thank you. Hey, Jamie, if you want to come on over and stand by me. I am so grateful for this opportunity. It is no small thing that NRG is doing in conjunction with NTZ. Not only are we providing advocates, but we're educating all vendors, everyone who works at NRG, to know what it looks like when they see a victim of human trafficking, someone who's being controlled by a trafficker. And that is a huge bonus. We are looking for victims. We are looking for traffickers. We're not waiting for them to come to us, and that's a new piece to this puzzle. And I'm also extremely grateful that Jacqueline is the mastermind of all this, because she recognizes how important the advocate's role is. Jamie is a killer advocate, and she can explain more of that. But studies, the things we're learning, tell us that if there is an advocate there in the moment of identification, in the moment of crisis, to help form a trust-based relationship that replaces the trauma bond that is holding that person captive and loyal to someone who's abusing them, that the results are incredible. And so reform is risky. Innovation is risky, and I'm just very grateful to Ryan and everyone here at NRG for this beautiful marriage and collaborative partnership among law enforcement and TAVC and NGOs and most importantly, in my mind, for the victims, the survivors, and also these advocates that serve them so well. So Jamie, will you add some to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. Thanks everybody for having me. I'm from YMCA. I'm the director of our Trafficked Persons Assistance Program. The YMCA is the partner grant holder alongside HPD for the Human Trafficking Rescue Alliance, and the model that we follow provides comprehensive services to victims of human trafficking alongside other social services and law enforcement. Through this collaborative coordination of services, we ensure that no victims fall through the cracks, and we increase the number of victims identified and recovered from situations. We're just so happy, YMCA, and I know Unbound too, as advocates, we're just honored to be impact partners with the No Trafficking Zone at NRG. We're just thrilled that they've continued that model of law enforcement and victim services working together to make sure that we're enhancing the quality of investigations, but also enhancing the quality of service that are given to anyone who's a victim of this crime. So it's really exciting to see all my partners that I work with every day, and then bigger leaders in other communities and agencies who are out here saying, yes, we're gonna serve that population too. So thank you guys, we're honored to be here.
We are. We're very honored, and we thank all of the other specialized human trafficking advocates that have made a difference and brought us to this place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Those women work 24 hours a day and do so much. We wanted to also thank Senator Larry Taylor and Rep. Thompson, who really helped, really spearheaded SB 1831 from the No Trafficking Zones for schools. I know that Senator Taylor couldn't be here, but he worked so hard on that bill, and we are so grateful that now all schools across the state of Texas will be no trafficking zones. With that being said, our next speaker is Brian Middleton, who I am very excited is going to be here. Brian is a different kind of leader. He has been very passionate about combating human trafficking and has been more about accountability than liability, and has made it his pledge to go after every predator in the state of Texas. So we are proud to announce him here.
District Attorney from Fort Bend.
Yes.
Thank you. In January 2019, when I was elected, I was sworn into the greatest co-ed fraternity on the face of the earth. That is U.S. law enforcement. And what our viewers should know is that law enforcement never sleeps. Wherever human traffickers may be, we will be standing in the gap, watching and waiting. And when we get a hold of you, we will have a grip like a pit bull, and we won't let go. We've had enough. We're going to take our communities back. And I was invited to this conference because of my commitment to human trafficking. Yeah. When I was elected, I took the initiative and the lead in my county, using my investigators to lead proactive operations to combat human trafficking. We've never looked back. We won't stop, and I've said it before, the Fort Bend County District Attorney's Office will be relentless in the pursuit of human traffickers. And for the viewers who don't understand this issue, if you ever get involved with a victim of human trafficking, it is mind-altering, it is life-changing. Souls are destroyed for profit. And if you care about women and children, this should be your issue. We need your help. If you see something, say something. This is an issue for every human being. Just like previous speakers indicated, this crosses every single demographic, socioeconomic line. This involves everyone, not those people. So help us keep our community safe. And I can tell you, there is a movement now in law enforcement to take our communities back, and includes human trafficking. We will have more no trafficking zones, whether it be NRG or Constellation Field. We'll be there watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, DA Brian Middleton. We appreciate you so very much, and we're honored. We only have 2 more slots and we're done, so don't quit before the benediction. The service is almost over. But we want to introduce Carrie McCracken. She's the Executive Director of the Children's Assessment Center. Let me say this. This agency is doing so much every day to combat trafficking, to help children to recover and families to recover. And we're grateful, Jacqueline and I at NTZ, to have them as a partner, and greater things are coming. We're grateful to have them here. Welcome, Carrie McCracken from the CAC.
Thank you for the kind words, Bishop Dixon, and thank you everyone for being here today to show your interest in this problem. For those of you that don't know, the Children's Assessment Center is Harris County's only advocacy center for the treatment and healing of sexually abused children. I have to thank Commissioner Cagle, all four of the commissioners, Judge Hidalgo. They have been our biggest supporters for over 20 years, and we could not do the work that we do without them.
Awesome.
We have had some statistics today. Commissioner Ellis kind of beat me to the punch, but one that hasn't been demonstrated that I really want to bring home is this is a children problem. This is affecting the children of Harris County. The average age of people entering trafficking is between 11 and 14, and that's child abuse.
Wow.
I'm so honored and humbled to stand here today, but this just emphasizes my only other point, and that this is partnership. It takes partnership to get this work done. The Children's Assessment Center does their work with 57 partner agencies, a multidisciplinary team, and most of them, or many of them, are standing with us today. But the other segment is community partners. We've got faith-based, we've got teachers, parents, and just well-meaning people in the community that want to get educated and learn how they can help so that the children of Harris County and all of Texas are safe and can feel safe. So the last thing I want to say is, if you are listening and you are in the community and you're wondering, what can I do? What you can do is go home tonight and share with whoever you're talking to while you're watching the game or whatever. Tell them what you heard today. Share what you heard today, because silence is not going to get the job done. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you to everybody for your hard work on this effort.
Thank you.
CDC rocks.
Thank you so much, the Children's Assessment Center, for all that you do. It is incredible. Last but never least, I was going to have one person come up and speak, but I see all four of them here, and they are all beautiful and amazing, and so I want to make sure that all of their voices are heard. These are survivor leaders, and they've dedicated their time and their stories. I know that we have to make it short, but I do want them to just talk about what this means to them and how we can help walk alongside of them and advocate for them. So thank you so much. Come on. Rich Love, Courtney, Cynthia, B.
Give them a hand.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure and an honor. Never in a million years did I think that I would be speaking about my experiences with beautiful women like Courtney and Cynthia. I'm so thankful for everyone that is making an initiative to care prior to it affecting them, because this is happening. I was trafficked out of my high school at 16 years old, and it's always an honor to see people that are getting involved before it's affecting them, because normally it's when their child is affected. So to see you guys here is an honor.
Thank you, Rich Love, and I want to thank everybody who is united here today to take a unified stance against the scourge of human trafficking. This is not about statistics or data. This is about people, and this is about lives that have been impacted by evil. To bring this back to center, this is a warfare that we are fighting. This is a warfare unlike any other, and our country has been in a period of division, and this calls for us to come together unified, to be solution and action driven. And I'm so honored to be joined today by my survivor leader sisters and brothers who are not here. Honorable Soleiman, who is also on our survivor signage committee for NTZ. I want to thank No Trafficking Zone, and I want to also thank NRG Park and everyone I see here today who has committed time to not just show up here today, but to also show up in their communities. Local, state, and federal, this takes all of us to come together. And as people have so clearly stated, is that it takes people to realize that it is not enough for this to be personal, for you to act to do something. This is already personal. to all of us. So thank you again for everyone being here, and I want to thank God for having us be able to be here before you today, as I was trafficked in 2016 at Super Bowl here in Houston. To be standing here before you today is nothing short and nothing less of a miracle.
Amen.
That we do have a Heavenly Father who will fight and go before us, and it's going to take all of us to stand together and unite, because we, the people, can make the greatest impact when we are a people united together.
Well, that's hard to follow. I'm Cynthia Rivera. I am a member of the Mayor's Hispanic Advisory Board. I am also a survivor. I was trafficked from the age of 15 to 17. And I just want to really thank everyone that is here today present, everyone who has taken a part of NTZ, of NRG, and what y'all are doing, because like she said, this is not just about one organization, one law enforcement organization. This is unity. We all need to unify together in order to defeat and win this battle against human trafficking, because it does affect everyone in some way or another. Whether you are involved in it or not, it will affect your community, it will affect your children, it will affect everyone, because it is in every school, it is on the streets, it is in every neighborhood. And I just want to say that I'm just very grateful for these ladies that are up here with the courage to stand and to speak. And again, like I said, I am so happy because I started advocating 15 years ago, and 15 years ago I could not even get a crowd like this together. So we have gone from not speaking about this cause, human trafficking, child sex trafficking, to actually uniting law enforcement, advocates, and everyone else. And it is very important to understand that working side by side is the only way that we're going to resolve this problem and this evil that's going in our city and our country, nationwide and worldwide. Thank you.
I just want to follow and piggyback off of what they said. And first and foremost, I am so blessed to be here. God is so good. And I just want to thank all of you, NTZ, NRG, and everybody, the police enforcement. It is a collaboration, because not one person, not one organization can do this. It takes a team. It takes everybody, really, because it is so hard to spot. I was trafficked from the ages of 15 to 17 by my own father. And so to be able to spot that takes a lot of people. And it is very encouraging and honoring, and I'm very touched that this many people care about children and women, because when you're in that age group and it's happening to you, you don't think anybody cares about you as a child. So it is very encouraging, and I want to thank all of you so much. And because this is what it takes to help survivors step out and out of terror, to be empowered to speak out. I'm currently pressing charges against my trafficker in 4 different states, and without people like you, I wouldn't have the courage to do so. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you. So there's really no words to say after you hear all 4 of them, just that we can all learn so many lessons for how brave and incredible they are, and just how much better we have to do as a community and a society. Thank you so much, NRG Park, and all of our partners who are really in this fight together. Bishop Dixon, everyone here, we are so overwhelmed, and as Courtney would say and Bishop Dixon would say, only God can do this. God is creating miracles and moving mountains, and we are so blessed to be a part of this. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you all very much.
You didn't say amen.
Oh, I was supposed to say amen. I'm wiped out. Just the next time somebody asks you who gets trafficked, remember the faces you just saw. And also know that if we can rescue one more, we can continue to build that army right there. And so that's what this is all about. We appreciate y'all coming. Thank you, Ryan, again. Yes. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Veronica. Let's give the NRG staff another big hand for doing all that they're doing, and our board. And And I thank God the next time you're at a Texas home game, know that some great work is happening at the same time they're on the field. Hopefully they're winning on the field, but we will be winning off the field, making sure that we're preventing and intervening where trafficking is concerned. God bless y'all. Thank y'all so very much.
I'd like to meet you.
Yes, same here.
Thank you for that passion.
Oh, yeah. I used to enjoy your documentary.
Hey, Jacqueline. Jacqueline.
I thought you looked familiar. Did I abuse you too much back in the day?
Tell them. You get me hell.
I was going to say, if you were ready, then you got to keep your butt.
It was a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming and doing it. Great.
All right.